everyone? Welcome back to Raw Sports Talk. This is going to be an NBA versus WNBA edition. So I've been reading a lot on my Twitter timeline, and people have actually been asking me on social media, do I think it's right that the WNBA players are paid so much less than the NBA players? At first, I really didn't have much context to go off of, so I wanted to do a little bit of research. Looking at the NBA's average attendance for last season, the Philadelphia 76ers had the most people who attended their games at 20,628 fans average per game. Now, this was granted before everything happened, so let's just pump our brakes before I get destroyed in the comments saying that there were no fans in the stands. This is just based off of last season. So now, the best team in the league averages almost 20,500 fans per season. And now let's go to the worst team in the league. The worst team in the league is the Minnesota Timberwolves as far as attendance is concerned, at 15,066 fans per game. There's quite a few teams that are in the 15,000s. It's teams 26 through 30. But I just wanted you to know the best and the worst. So the best are the Philadelphia 76ers at 20,628 fans per game. And the worst are the Minnesota Timberwolves at 15,066 fans per game. So that's for the NBA. Now moving along to the WNBA, the best team in the league is the LA Sparks. They average 11,307 fans per game. Now that is about 4,000 fans less than the worst team in the NBA. And their worst team, which is the New York Liberty, average 2,239 fans per game. That is significantly lower. That is 13,000 fans less than the worst NBA team. Now, I kind of thought, is it just because, the WNBA and the NBA are professional? Because it seems like people are saying that it's not fair that the women don't get paid the same as the men. So I wanted to go one step further to where these players are not getting paid at all, and that's in the NCAA. So now, in the NCAA, the number one school in attendance for women is South Carolina. They average 12,218 fans per game. Number two is Oregon at 10,852. And to round out the top 50, because I'm not going to go through all 50 teams, is Dayton at 2,700 fans per game. In the NCAA, the number one team has more fans in the stands than the WNBA does. The number 50 team still has more fans than the worst team in the WNBA. This is just statistics. This is not me making anything up. These are the numbers. So now I wanted to compare it to men's college basketball just to keep everything fair. In men's college basketball, Syracuse leads the way in attendance at 21,704 fans. That's more than the NBA. Granted, they play less games, but that is still more fans than the average game for the NBA. So right now, the NCAA men are putting more fans in the stands than the NBA is. They only go to 30. And the 30th team comes in at 11,666 fans. I can't tell if that's a 6 or an 8, how they have it divvied up on the screen. And that is San Diego State. But the top three schools in the NCAA for men are Syracuse, Kentucky, and North Carolina. No surprise there. They're all dominant powerhouse college basketball teams. They all average basically what an NBA team would average in attendance every game. So now we're just going based off of attendance. The NBA's best team averages more than the WNBA's best team. The NCAA's women's best team averages more than the WNBA's best team does. And the NCAA's 50th ranked team ranks better than the worst team in the WNBA. Now we can understand why there's a bit of a difference when it comes to salary. Because the average salary for an NBA player is $6,388,007. Not a bad way to make a living to be a bench player, and I know that there are players who come off the bench who make more than that. But this is just the average salary. And now the WNBA has raised their average salary to $130,000. Now listening to these numbers, now you understand the difference in why the men and the women are paid what they're paid. Because even in college basketball, the men still are dominating the women as far as numbers are concerned. But it is kind of scary to see that even in the NCAA for women, the top 50 teams still average better attendance, that is kind of scary to think. There are a lot of people who feel that the women's professional basketball players should be paid the same way that the NBA players are paid. And I am all for equality. We have to just pump our brakes here a second because, yes, granted, the NBA does play more games. So even if the NBA played half the games or just as many games as the WNBA played, I don't think that that would really affect the salaries for the NBA players because people are going to now thrive for it because now there's less of it that's available. The women should be paid fairly, but the women should be paid based off of the numbers and the statistics because you can't produce money for a product that isn't there. That's just not smart business. And obviously with the NCAA, the women are drawing fans and the women aren't getting paid, obviously. The university is getting paid for all of those fans that are going to be in the stands. So they have to come up with a better system to increase viewership or to increase attendance. I know when I lived in Arizona, the Phoenix Mercury had a deal with one of the grocery stores that when you spent over, I think it was $20, on the bottom of your receipt, they would give you tickets to the Phoenix Mercury games. All you had to do was go to Will Call and claim them. Stuff like that would help to put fans in the stands, but I think that they need to combine sort of like an all-star weekend between the NBA and the WNBA. So this way that it raises awareness for the WNBA game and the players for their on-court abilities and not for their off-court abilities when they're doing all of these protests. Rightfully so that they are doing these protests, but more people know who the WNBA players are because of the protests and not because of their play on the court. If they do a combined WNBA, NBA All-Star Weekend where you have the up-and-coming prospects for the NBA versus the top women in the WNBA, and you do the skills competition. You keep the ball the same for the women and the men, but you just do the normal skills competitions, everything but the dunk contest, because we obviously know most players in the WNBA can't dunk. Everything with the exception of that, and then you put that on for the NBA All-Star Game. That would raise awareness to who some of these WNBA players are, and that would raise awareness for the WNBA because now there'd be little girls who are watching the game and go, look at what she did in the three-point contest. I want to go and see her play. That's just my take on it. I think that the women should be paid fairly, and there shouldn't be such a large difference between the men and the women. However, when it comes to business, you can't knock the numbers. And the numbers clearly say that people want the men's game more than they want the women's game. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram at Raw Sports Talk. Follow me on Twitter at Raw Sports Talk 1. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. I'm out.
Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw.